After a month of playing outside the division, your Rangers return to the West, where they've played their best baseball this year. Tonight, they begin a 3-game series against an Angels team decimated by injuries. And they turn to A.J. Griffin to get this leg of the road trip off to the right start. Stay up late and cheer on your Rangers as they meet the Los Angeles Angels next, here on Fox Sports Southwest. Rangers baseball on Fox Sports Southwest is presented by high-speed internet from AT&T. The Big A, home of the Angels and site of tonight's ball game, the opener of this 3-game series, Rangers and Angels, as we are back in the West Division once again. Old friends, old foes, however you want to think of it. We welcome you into the booth. Hello again, everybody. Dave Raymond with Steve Busby. And it is good to be back playing in the division again. Rangers hoping that maybe that will spark them a little bit as well after a great game in Chicago yesterday. Today, they will turn to right-hander A.J. Griffin, who, as it turns out, got his first victory as a Ranger right here, Buzz.
That he did, Dave, and the Rangers hope that good karma is following him around, and the good karma from yesterday's ball game with Cole Hamels really spinning a dandy. But A.J. came out of the off the list, I should say, to start the year. He was not active, but Rangers activated him for the 5th game of the year, with 6 very strong innings against these Angels, got the win, giving up only 3 runs. So that was a good start for A.J. Remember, he won his first 3 decisions as a Ranger before that shoulder started to bark at him a little bit. He hopes to recapture that. He says he's back. The strength is back where he needs it. He feels good about how he's throwing. Now it's a matter of executing his ability to shut down hitters.
So it is A.J. Griffin against the Angels back in the West Division. Stay with us. We'll have the starting lineups in the first pitch. Baseball is coming up next. Rangers baseball on Fox Sports Southwest is brought to you by your Texas Ford dealers. Visit your local Texas Ford dealer today during the Ford Freedom Sales Event at CY Ford is the best in Texas. By AT&T High-Speed Internet. Get a deal worth talking about. Get high-speed internet from AT&T. By Budweiser, not backing down since 1876. This Bud's for you. And by Southwest Airlines. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. It is a gorgeous Southern California evening. Ready for baseball, Rangers and Angels. And we check in for the first time tonight. Third member of our crew, John Radigan.
Dave, thanks very much. Of course, Cole Hamels' victory yesterday ended a streak of 14 straight games in which a Rangers starter did not get a victory. Then again, earlier this year, the Rangers starters were piling up quality starts like no team in baseball. A.J. Griffin knows that's just another example of the ebbs and flows, the ups and downs of the baseball season.
Baseball season's always a roller coaster. That's why we play 162 games. But, you know, it's just, like I said, it's one of those things where you go out there and you just try to have fun and play and you know, just let your ability take over and don't try to press too much and just, you know, just go out there and have fun and try to win a ball game.
And that is, of course, what the Rangers were doing so well at the beginning of the season, really through much of the first half. Just having fun and letting their ability take over. They had a lot of fun yesterday, too. They'll try to pick that up again today. They were having fun pregame in the clubhouse and so forth, so let's see if they take it out to the field tonight, guys.
Yeah, thanks, John. It is funny how having fun and winning ball games do seem to go hand in hand. As we get ready for this one, let's take a look at our Southwest Airlines starting lineups. The Rangers tonight, 55-38, and Jeff Bannister goes with JURICKSON PROFAR in the leadoff spot at short. Ian Desmond in center field, and Rougned Odor at second base bats third. Cleanup man Adrian Beltre at third base. Prince Fielder will be the DH. He bats fifth today. Batting sixth and left is Ryan Rua. Mitch Moreland back in the rotation there at first base, batting seventh. Nomar Mazara in right field, and Bobby Wilson will catch and bat ninth tonight.
And that lineup for Jeff Bannister's ball club, going to face the 25-year-old right-hander Nick Tropiano. Tropiano up and down a bit with the Angels this year. This is his second tour of duty. Fastball, slider, changeup, splitter. The splitter is his big off-speed pitch that he has used to good effect. He has had some problems with the command of the strike zone. He has walked just a little bit over 4 per 9 innings this year. And Rangers will try and find out early if those problems are going to plague Tropiano again tonight. He is a Long Islander. He went to Stony Brook University, same college that produced Joe Nathan of Ranger fame.
Well, he is ready to go. And his 13th start of the season begins with ball one to JURICKSON PROFAR. Profar with that 326 average, but forget that. It's the 365 on base percentage that you look at in particular when leading off. And he has done a good job in this spot. 1-1 the count on Profar.
Yeah, you remember when the Rangers brought up JURICKSON PROFAR when Rougned Odor was serving the suspension. Profar took over at second base and he took over at the leadoff spot. And he hit safely in his first 12 games as a leadoff hitter with the Rangers this year. And that tells you the kind of capability he has starting ball games off.
2-1 to Profar. The other thing it does, having him in that spot tonight, is it allows Jeff Bannister to move Rougned Odor down in the order a little bit. And he's down more toward the middle of the order now, batting third tonight, where his aggression can be used a little more effectively, you might say, than in the leadoff spot. 3-1 the count. There's Rougned.
Yeah, I don't think Rougned has ever made any pretenses about being a patient hitter. He's up there slashing and hacking, and that's what makes him such a good hitter, is he's able to do that and put the ball in play.
That one in there for a strike, and it's a full count on Profar. Marty Foster, our plate umpire tonight. Profar went quickly to him there, and one never knows exactly the tenor of the conversation, but it might well have been to apologize. Payoff pitch, and he hammers this ball down the right field line, but foul. We got a good swing on it. Made that noise too.
That was the cracking of the bat that it made.
Yeah.
That noise. He had to go back and get another piece of lumber.
A sound that you
I like.
You like a little
more.
more.
Yeah, I do. I like that one. Yeah. That's the crack that I love to hear.
Now, when they talk about the crack of the bat.
Well, there's a crack and there's a cracking. And I like the cracking.
Full count to JURICKSON, and Tropiano's payoff on the way. And this one will be into the seats for a souvenir. And so already, we talked about the on-base percentage being, the first and most important metric when you look at a leadoff hitter. But the other thing you really like out of a good leadoff man is that ability to see some pitches in that at bat. Yep. And this will be the 8th in this at bat to start the game, and Tropiano has had to showcase a little bit of his stuff for the remaining hitters, and he loses PROFAR on a pitch just outside the zone. Great at bat, resulting in a leadoff walk. So the defense behind Tropiano tonight: Daniel NAVA out in left field, Mike TROUT, the all-star center fielder, and Cole Calhoun, one of the more underrated right fielders in the game. Yunel Escobar and Andrelton Simmons on the left side of the infield, Johnny Giavotella at second base, and G-Man Choi at first. Best name in baseball, Jet Bandy, catching tonight for Tropiano. There are good baseball names, and there's Jet Bandy. Bunt attempt by Desmond, and Bandy going to handle it. Boy, Desmond upset with himself the moment that came off the bat.
Second baseman, number 12,
Now, Ian, trying to take advantage of Escobar being back, the third baseman playing back, and he got a pitch up, and I think if Ian, what he's so upset with himself, not that he popped it up, that's secondarily, but that he did not take that pitch. When you're trying to bunt for a base hit, there's no need to go ahead and try to bunt every height of pitch you get. Make sure it's one you can handle to get down there.
So an out, and unfortunately PROFAR still at first. But now here's Rougned Odor batting third tonight, as we mentioned earlier on, dropping a couple of spots in the order where he's probably a better fit. Probably nothing. He is a better fit in this spot. You see, the leadoff duties in Chicago did not treat him well. For his last 11. About 16 homers. That leads the club. 46 RBIs. Tropiano very deliberate with him. It's 1-1.
If you're PROFAR at first base also, you have to be aware that Nick Tropiano is very good with a pickoff. He has an excellent move for a right-hander. Angels, as a matter of fact, this year have picked off the most runners in baseball, 18 of them. And Tropiano has 4 in limited action on the mound. So he can nab you over there if you're not well aware of it.
And there is a toss in that direction. Also an interesting time of night because there's just some slivers of sunlight that sneak through right now. That setting sun is in the eyes of a runner at first base, depending on exactly where they are. But I suppose one could position oneself in such a way to avoid that a little bit. Quicker toss that time.
Yeah, neither one of those is real good move yet. The move that Tropiano has picked off 4 people with is borders on a balk move, which all good pickoff moves do.
Little bit of a shift on the infield for Odor. So play him to pull it. 2-1 the count. And it's not the dramatic shifts that you see so many times, but it's still a discernible one where Escobar is well off the line at third base and Andrelton Simmons way up the middle. A shortstop who is, well, statistically the best in the game.
Yeah, and with the range he has, you don't really have to overshift necessarily to still have the effect of shifting well around. Now, Simmons can get to balls that other people have no chance to. So he can cover as much ground. Now he's shaded up the middle pretty substantially for him. 3 or 4 steps to the third base side of second. But that allows him to cover everything from 5 or 10 feet on the first base side of second all the way into the hole.
Profar still hanging around at first base. Not a huge lead. 2-2, and Odor got just a piece of that one. Well, Rangers coming to Anaheim after a 3-game series in Chicago. They won the finale yesterday by a score of 4-1. Offense tacked on some runs later in that ball game. Pitching was outstanding. Cole Hamels with 8 brilliant innings, and that man Jeff Bannister in a more buoyant mood today as a result. 2-2, and it's another full count, and Tropiano, my goodness, has had to work hard in these early moments.
15 pitches already, and this is third man, and that's something that Tropiano has struggled with. The command of the strikes, we mentioned, not just that it results in walks, that it results in long pitch counts per at bat. He's averaging 4 1/4 pitches per man this year and per hitter. So that's getting up there a little bit.
As you can see by that last graphic, Odor not an easy guy to walk. But he's in a good spot right here. Profar continuing to split the concentration of Tropiano just a touch. Oh.
Yeah, and that was a little bit better move too. And you tell JURICKSON asking Hector Ortiz over there, does he have one better than that? I'd kind of like to know.
JURICKSON has only attempted 1 steal this year. It was unsuccessful. Didn't have quite the lead that time, but Tropiano again awfully concerned with him. And to your point, Buzz, 4 pickoffs already. He's only thrown, well, a little better than 66 innings this year. So that's a lot of pickoffs. Runner going, the 3-2. That ball hit well out to right field. Calhoun looking, and it is gone. A home run. 2-run shot. Rougned Odor starts the scoring tonight.
Now, part of the problem when you focus on your pickoff move at first base and you worry about a runner going is that you do not focus on making quality pitches necessarily. And I think that caught up with Tropiano. He'd had 2 long at bats to Profar and then to Odor. And on a 3-2 pitch, he was just focusing, it looked like, on throwing a strike away. Didn't ever get it out there. And Rougned Odor went out and intercepted that ball and hit it out of the ballpark.
And he had a pretty good idea, too, the moment he hit it. Now, Adrian Beltre takes strike 1.
Yeah, and this has been a problem, too, for Tropiano, keeping the ball in the ballpark. He has averaged about a home run and a quarter per start this year.
In fact, that number 12 he has allowed this season in a little better than 66 innings. That's a huge number. So Rangers off to a very good start. And a 1-1 count on Beltre. Some off-speed stuff from Tropiano. He falls behind, and that pitch count continuing to climb for him in this first inning. But he is not a guy who this year has gone very deep into games, as a general rule. That ball is hammered high in the air, deep left field. Nava is back, and that is gone. Back-to-back bombs tonight. Number 13 for Beltre, and it's a 3-0 lead.
Good to see Adrian Beltre put a good swing on a ball and get solid contact and hit it out of the ballpark. Adrian's been scuffling a bit lately, last 15 games or so, but that has come to an end. He's happy to be back here at the Big A in Anaheim. He has always hit well here, and he just reminds the Angels how unfortunate they were not to be able to sign him when the Rangers did in 2011.
Not lost on many around here. Here's Big Prince. Tropiano going right after him.
You know, the fastball, the target set away by Bandy, and Tropiano, you can tell by the way he hung his head, knew that ball never got anywhere close to the target, but it did get close to the middle of Adrian's bat.
One strike pitch, and Beltre bounces it into that shift. Giovitella takes care of him, 2 away. Odor having some fun in the dugout. The boys had a good time messing around with Beltre's head too as he went in after his home run. And you know, he never likes that, but he had a big smile. As you mentioned, I think that was really good for him to go yard right there.
He'll take a couple of pats on the noggin to, as a result of that.
Now Ryan Rua. And a bender in there, strike 1. Yeah, for Beltre, of his last 11 hits, 10 had been singles. Just to kind of expand on the idea you were pointing out there. So good to see one fly over the fence for him. Rua fooled badly. 0-2 the count. Yeah, for Ryan, he's done his damage in spots like these. Of course, most of that was done on one trip.
Yeah, that's right.
0-2. And he's down swinging for the final out of the inning, but the Rangers with a fantastic start. Back-to-back homers from Odor and Beltre. A little cushion as A.J. Griffin heads out to the mound. A very impressive top of the first inning, and now it'll be the Angels' turn as we take a look at their batting order tonight. Yunel Escobar at third base, Cole Calhoun in right field, and then the American League killer, Mike Trout in center field. Albert Pujols, the DH, bats cleanup. Daniel Nava in left field. Johnny Giovitella, the second baseman, bats sixth. Then the bottom of the order, G-Man Choi, Jet Bandy, and Andrelton Simmons, the bottom third for Mike Scioscia and the Angels.
And A.J. Griffin from about 85 miles down the road in San Diego, pitching in front of family and friends. His 11th start, 3-1 record. Trying to get back on track a little bit. He has been, in his words, a little iffy lately. And that last time out against Minnesota, A.J. not pleased with the results that he got, giving up 6 runs in the 5 innings of work.
It comes over the plate to Escobar, who can swing it a little bit, but hit it to the wrong part of the park. And Desmond right there to make the play for out number 1. Take a look at the Rangers defense. Rangers defense delivered to you by Break Check. Ryan Rua in left, Ian Desmond with that play in center field, and Nomar Mazara gets the start in right. On the infield, Good to see Mitch Moreland back there at first base with a start. Rougned Odor joining him on the right side. It's Profar at short and Beltre at third on the left. Bobby Wilson completing the battery with A.J. Griffin. Cole Calhoun stands in. He takes strike one. Calhoun, very good hitter at .283 this year with 10 home runs. Griffin right back at him, but up high that time. 1-1 the count. Calhoun, one of two lefties in the lineup today, along with the switch hitter Daniel Nava. Against A.J. Griffin, it's 2-1. Calhoun has had some big games against the Rangers this year. In fact, in 9 games against Texas, there you go, a .455 batting average. So he will be one of the keys. Texas wants to slow down this offense. Takes a big cut here, but a pop-up near third will be handled by Beltre, and there are 2 gone.
Yeah, one of the things that Calhoun has benefited from greatly, whether it's against the Rangers or anybody else, is hitting in front of Mike Trout and Albert Pujols. You just don't want to put Calhoun aboard with a walk in front of those 2 guys, so you end up throwing him more strikes in the middle of the plate, if you will. He knows that he's going to get something to hit almost every at bat.
Reminds me a little bit of when the San Francisco Giants in the Barry Bonds era, I think it was Rich Aurelia.
Yeah.
Had a year or 2 in there where, I mean, he was one of the most productive hitters in the National League, not because he was Rich Aurelia, but because the guy behind him was Barry Bonds. And then maybe Jeff Kent after that. So had quite a few guys that they were a little more concerned with. There's now Mike Trout. Has a count at 1-1. Here's your guy. I mean, look at these American League ranks for Mike Trout. 1-2 the count.
Actually, this year, the Rangers have done a pretty good job keeping him kind of in check. I mean, he has torn the Rangers apart in his career, but this year has been a little bit better.
All very relative, of course.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
And in fairness, I mean, I'm sure every team that rolls through here from the American League, particularly in the West Division, says, oh, there's Mike Trout, Mariners killer, A's killer, whomever. I mean, he is that guy. He works the count full. He's won the Silver Slugger each of his first 4 years in the big leagues. 3-2 pitch, and he hits this one high in the air, left field. Playable for Rua. And A.J. Griffin with a 1-2-3 bottom of the first. Rangers take a 3-0 lead to the second. Far away, Buzz, to enjoy Star Wars Weekend presented by Takis. Head out to the ballpark August 26th through 28th for Star Wars giveaways, post-game fireworks show when the Rangers take on the Cleveland Indians. Get your tickets today, TexasRangers.com, and may the force be with you. Second inning, Rangers leading 3-0.
Of course it will.
Buzz, you look at me askance.
No.
Did you have a favorite of the Star Wars movies? Have you
I
kept
like.
up with
I
all
like.
of them?
Yeah, I like the original ones.
Mm-hmm.
Personally, I'm a kind of old time guy anyway. You know, the kind were in black and white. The Chewbacca was my buddy.
Yeah.
I love Chewie.
Yeah. The first three were clearly the best. Although the latest one, the one that came out last year, was pretty good.
It was. Very good add-on. I wasn't much for the middle three that came out, but
Moreland loved the middle three and fouls this one off. The count 2-1. Mitch at 2:30 coming in. Yeah, and still sitting on number 99. It's kind of funny. I mean, we noted that. It seems like a long time ago.
It was.
Hoping Mitch would get that century mark.
He's going to get it in this series. I just have that feeling. That and probably a couple more.
Tropiano's 2-1. And there it is. Number 100. Sailing deep into the night and gone. Mitch Moreland makes it 4-0 Rangers.
Huh.
The force very much with him.
Oh boy.
And Buzz, you continue your hot stretch. What else would you like?
Well, I'm trying to think what sounds really good if I could order it up. That was impressive. You know, the thing about Mitch, very rarely does he just hit one and stop. He goes on to streaks where he'll hit 3 or 4 or 5, and if he gets many more pitches like this, he's going to hit 6 or 7. Tropiano, again, having trouble getting the ball in a quality location.
Omar Mazzara could use a little lift. How about it, Mitch? Number 100.
That's a nice one to put in the trophy case. That ball's flat on one side.
One strike pitch. Look out. Oh, that one.
I think that hit him.
Yeah, look, got him on the inside of the left foot. Talk about a back foot slider.
Yeah.
Jeez.
I think that was a back foot fastball. That can't feel very good.
No. So Mazzara is on, and Mike Scioscia's got to be wondering what's going on here.
Yeah, it's that back foot right on top of the instep. Ouch. That hurt so bad, Nomar couldn't even move. He was frozen right there by it.
Well, I thought at first blush, I thought maybe it got him on that ankle bone. I thought, oh my goodness, that's going to hurt. But there's really, as you think about it, there is no good spot to get hit.
No.
On a pitch
if
like
it had got him on the ankle bone, he would not have remained upright. I'm sorry. If he did, that would have been incredible.
So he's at first for Bobby Wilson. Tropiano having a real tough time of it tonight. And the right-hander starts Wilson with ball one. And Bobby with the 3 long balls. A normal American League looking lineup today. Out of that interleague play over the weekend in Chicago, so no more pitcher batting ninth. Bobby in that ninth spot of the order today. It's 2-0. And I would say that this team already looks a little more comfortable back in the American League.
Yeah, and Jeff Bannister talked about that after yesterday's ball game. And the Rangers aren't the only ball club that are built like this, but American League clubs, especially the good ones, are built to use the DH. Adding that one player, it's not like they pick a guy like Matt Caesar off the bench who's a pinch hitter and throw him in there as a DH. Now, there are specific guys that are there primarily to handle the heavy lifting.
Line shot, but right to Simmons. And that is the first out of the inning. Well, it's an out, but Wilson with a good swing there. It's not a very good result. Back to the top now for JURICKSON, PROFAR. Well, PROFAR got this whole thing started tonight with a really good at bat, in which he saw 8 pitches and drew the walk. 2 batters later, Rougned Odor and an extended at bat would homer. Breaking ball taken for strike 1 this time.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, Dave, at the time, it wasn't just the total number of pitches, 8 of them that bat. Tropiano used every pitch that he had in that at bat. So everybody got a chance to see exactly what it looked like from a different angle anyway of what he was throwing.
Well, bluff over there at first base by Mazara, not going anywhere, and it is 1-1 on PROFAR. You saw those numbers there just a moment ago. This is where he's done his damage, at that left side of the plate against right-handers. He has put up video game type numbers from over there. Tropiano has already allowed 3 homers tonight. And a good pitch there. It's strike 2. So PROFAR in that leadoff spot, getting a start at shortstop as Elvis Andrus takes the day off. Elvis, of course, this is Elvis's ballpark. They were considering naming it after him after the way he's hit here.
They did. It's the Big A, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, they erected that big A out front for Andrus because he has really put up big time numbers here, and I suspect we'll see him in the lineup tomorrow. But a chance today to get PROFAR in there and give Elvis a day off after 3 consecutive day games in Chicago. Tropiano with that long look, and this ball is hit hard but foul over to the left side. Stays 1-2 on PROFAR.
Yeah, Jeff Bannister talked yesterday about wanting to get PROFAR in the lineup. He thought about it yesterday, but wanted to give Prince Fielder another start at first base and get him going a little bit. But Jeff wanted to try and get everybody engaged as the second half got underway.
And one of the things he's really trying to do, get Fielder, get Moreland going.
Yeah.
And as he pointed out, a little tough to do that with those guys on the bench. And in Chicago in particular, it was difficult with the pitcher hitting to get everybody in there. PROFAR reaches out to pop this one foul and out of play. We'll do it again. Now, we were talking earlier about that first at bat. There are the 8 pitches he saw in that first at bat when drawing the walk. And of course, this now has become an extended at bat.
Right.
This will be number 7.
Yeah, Tropiano up to 40 now, and he's recorded 4 outs.
So it'll be another 8-pitch at bat at minimum for PROFAR. 2-2 the count.
Now, the Rangers doing a good job reminding Nick Tropiano about the struggles that he was having, reinforcing the idea that, hey, when you throw strikes, bad things happen, and you haven't been throwing strikes that much lately anyway. So they're making sure that he remembers that.
You would understand tonight if he'd become a little tentative after the way things have started.
Give his eardrums a rest.
2-2, and it's a full count. So let's see, this will be the 17th pitch that he will have delivered tonight to PROFAR alone. We started the broadcast by talking about what a different look this offense is with PROFAR in that leadoff spot. And man alive, has he done a nice job there already. Also, we should note, playing for Elvis today, but Shin-Soo Choo again not in the lineup today. 4th straight game out of the All-Star break in which Choo will have not started as he continues to work his way back from the bad back. Little throw down to second, and Mazara is out. Bad jump, and the strike him out, throw him out ends the inning. But Mitch Moreland gets number 100 in his career and makes it a 4-0 Rangers lead. Fox Sports Southwest is brought to you by your Texas Ford dealers. Visit your local Texas Ford dealer today during the Ford Freedom Sales event and see why Ford is the best in Texas. Well, a beautiful Monday night here in Anaheim, Southern California, where the Rangers have jumped out to a 4-0 lead. Mitch Moreland has hit his 100th career home run. So a big night for him already, and now we'll see the heart of this Angels order in the second inning. It'll be Pujols, Daniel Nava, and Giavotella. A.J. Griffin, the 28-year-old right-hander, right in there with strike one to Pujols. Albert with a couple of homers yesterday against the White Sox. And it was the 53rd time in his sure-to-be Hall of Fame career in which he has hit multiple home runs in a game. 0-2, and he will lose the bat on the little roller right up the middle. Odor on top of it, and that is the first out of the second inning.
That wasn't a crack, that was a splat.
Yeah, that had a very odd sound.
Yeah,
to
it did. It did. The kind you like to hear, though, if you're a pitcher.
Thing sounded almost metal. No doubt one of those maple bats. One gone. Here is Daniel Nava. Nava, the left fielder tonight for the Angels. And that has once again been a disaster for this Angels team. You see the one home run for Nava. Last year they got 9 home runs from their left fielders, and the other offensive numbers, on base percentage, OPS, those things were stunningly bad. This year the numbers are worse. 1-2 the count. That was their big project in the offseason. In fact, I bumped into Sosha at the winter meetings this year in Nashville. Talked to him a little bit about some of their targets. They were rumored to be in on a lot of big names, and he was kind of giddy, kind of hoping, yeah, maybe we'll get one of these big fellows, a Cespedes or somebody like that. That was not to be.
They're kind of locked in salary-wise to some contracts that aren't going away anytime soon, and they aren't getting a whole lot of return for them on some of them. And that's not Mike's problem. That's
No. Well, it's his problem, not his fault.
right. Yeah.
It is definitely his problem. And there's strike 3 called as Nava down looking. And a very good start for Griffin. 5 up, 5 down.
A good pitch by A.J. Nava, just completely frozen. That comeback fastball started off the plate inside and came back to the corner. Very nicely done by A.J. Griffin. Hey, while we have a second here, I want to pass along a hello from the Fagan family from Garland. They're out here watching the Rangers in Anaheim. And Jerry and Carrie Fagan, along with their daughters Laura and Chelsea, are out here celebrating Jerry's 59th birthday.
Oh,
Wish I could have had a birthday present like this when I was
about that.
49. I haven't made it 59 yet. Back by popular demand. Oh, they wanted to say hi to all their season ticket holders, the Fagans are, and they wanted to say hello to all their buddies in sections 28 and 29 at Globe Life Park.
Oh, very cool. Breaking ball for a strike to Giavotella, 1-1.
I'm getting kind of envious listening to Dana Larson talk about her trip out here and watching the posts from Cole Hamels today about going out. And when I'm just sitting around the hotel reading a newspaper, for Pete's sake. I wanted to go somewhere.
Well, tomorrow we'll go Pokemon hunting, you and I.
Okay. Well, I gotta wash my hair. But thanks for the offer. I'd be one of those people that would run into something if I went Pokemon hunting.
Well, bouncer up the middle. Profar has it. The spin, the throw in time. And what a nifty play by JURICKSON Profar from shortstop. And it completes another 1-2-3 inning for A.J. Griffin. Off to the 3rd inning we go. Well, it hasn't just been all home runs, a little defense tonight with the Rangers leading 4-0. And Rangers captain on July 26th at the Whataburger on East Broad Street in Mansfield. Don't miss his chance to win great prizes and to beat Pudge at Whataburger. Go to TexasRangers.com/appearances for more information. So 2 innings in, and already Angels forced into their bullpen is Jhoulys Chacín has to come on here in the 3rd.
Chacín, a part-time starter, appearing in his 16th ball game over our 3-7 ERA of flirting with 6. He has been in and out of the starting rotation a number of times. Just hasn't found his niche. And Mike Scioscia hoping that he can eat up some innings here tonight in relief of Nick Tropiano.
Yeah, not a lot of experience coming out of the bullpen. When you look back at his big league career, this is just the 20th time he's ever had to throw in relief, and he starts Desmond with strike 1. Chacin gets Desmond to chase one, and just like that, 0-2. Desmond went out quickly in the first inning on a popped-up bunt. As you see, Jurickson Profar having a good day at the plate, and just made a really dazzling play at shortstop a moment ago to end the second inning. 1-2 the count to Desmond.
Yeah, you know, you hear a lot about prospects coming in. Profar was no different. We just hadn't seen him play a lot of shortstop for the Rangers in the first couple of years that he played because of Elvis Andrus, quite frankly. But that was as good a play as you're going to see a shortstop make. Going behind the bag almost at second into shallow center field in a 360 and a throw from probably 120 feet.
And he had a little something on that bad boy.
Sure did.
You see why he was so highly regarded. 1-2 pitch. And that'll even things up. 2 balls, 2 strikes on Desmond. Well, Ian 6th in the league with a .315 average. 16 home runs. He's combined power and speed and made that transition so seamlessly this year to the outfield. One of the big stories in the American League this year. The 2-2, that's a beauty right on the outside corner. Desmond down looking. And that's how we begin the third.
Second baseman, number 12, Rougned Odor.
So now Rougned Odor, who hit the 2-run homer back in the first. 3 home runs today for the Rangers. Odor with the 2-run shot. Beltre followed right after that with a solo blast. And Mitch Moreland hit the 100th of his career to lead off the second. All those, though, against Nick Tropiano, who's out of the game, and Chacin is on. So Odor has retaken the homer lead on this team with 17 now. 2-0 the count. Chacin came up with the Colorado Rockies back in 2009. He was just 21 years old at the time. And worked his way very quickly the next year into the starting rotation. 2-1 on Odor. Was more or less a mainstay in that rotation for a handful of years. And then with the Arizona Diamondbacks last year. This year pitched with both the Atlanta Braves and now the Angels. So well traveled in recent years. This ball hit hard out to center field. A base hit for Odor. That ball hit hard.
Third baseman, number
Well, man on with 1 out here in the third inning, and time for us to check in with Dana Larson on another Chevy game break. All right, thanks, Dana. And the Marlins, they continue to be a very interesting story in the National League. A breaking ball to Beltre for ball 1. I mean, the Marlins, there they are hanging around in that East Division. Now, the Nats have played terribly well. Washington, though, losing that heartbreaking 18-inning game yesterday to the Pirates. But Miami just 6 games back. And now with that, their 50th win, 8 games over 500. Not a big lead for Odor. Beltre slaps it foul. It's 1-1.
You know, the Marlins right on the cusp of being a very big buyer, if you will, at the trade deadline. At least they've been talking about it. One of my collegiate teammates, Orrin Freeman, a scout with them, and he said that, you know, their mission was to really prepare for both problems. You know, the problem of being a seller and the problem of being a buyer on short notice. And he said they have to scout it both ways. And he said it's hard to do. They don't have the most financial flexibility.
Runner going, throw from Bandy from his knees in time, and they get Odor. Odor looking around like, what?
Yeah.
Oh, nice throw there from Jet Bandy.
Yeah, that's something you don't see every day. Bandy had no time, in his mind anyway, to get up, so down to one knee, and he fired a belt-high strike down there and got Rugnet. Takes a little bit of arm strength, but a quick release from Bandy. Right there, boom, it's gone. And the throw.
Ooh, might be worth taking a little closer look. Can't tell from that one.
Yeah, Jeff Bannister and company have said, now let that go.
1-2. And that'll even it up on Beltre. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
If that tag gets down before Rugnet's hand gets in there.
Yeah.
Close.
Pretty darn close.
Probably one of the ones that if it's called out on the field, you're probably not going to get it overturned.
Beltre reaches out, sends this one down the right field line, and grabbed by Calhoun in foul ground. Nicely done. And it ends the inning. No runs, a hit, nobody left. We've played 2.5, and the Rangers lead it 4-0. Chili Company Dollar Hot Dog Night. It's going to be Wednesday, July 27th, when the Oakland A's play your Texas Rangers. Come on out to the ballpark early. Enjoy all the hot dogs you can eat for just $1 each. Get your tickets today, TexasRangers.com, or by calling 972-RANGERS. Great start to this one on many levels, not the least of which is A.J. Griffin, who has retired the first 6 batters he has faced. Now, bottom of the order, G-Man Choi, Jet Bandy, and Andrelton Simmons. Ball 1 to Choi.
We saw a Ranger pitcher start with a 6 up, 6 down yesterday, didn't we?
We did indeed.
Looks familiar. Not the same way necessarily, but
it worked out pretty well.
It worked out real well, yeah.
Yeah, that guy right there. That's meant for the ball game. Hey, you pitched 8 wonderful innings. What are you going to do? Well, I'm going to go to Disneyland.
That's right.
2-1 to Choi.
Gotta have your priorities. There's what Cole had as a priority yesterday. That was shutting out the Cubs, basically. Other than an unearned run, he did shut them out.
Well, hardly broke a sweat with 91 pitches through 8 real good innings.
And we talked about it a little bit during the game and afterwards. I don't think you can overestimate the importance of that game for the Rangers' psyche, for the win-loss, just from that standpoint.
A pop-up down the left field line, but too far out there for Beltre to get to it. Count stays 2-2. Yeah, the difference between that win and being swept by the Cubs out of that All-Star break just would really have felt right.
Yeah, or having Cole Hamels go out and have another clunker of an outing, the way the rest of the starting staff had recently. Even if you come back and won the ball game, that wouldn't have the same effect as having your ace go out and give you an ace performance and get a good, solid game behind him to win it 4-1.
A little tight on Choi, and it's a full count.
Yeah, that truly is a game where you can say, if you're a Ranger, okay, now we've got it back to where we need it. Now let's go. We're going back in the Western Division. Let's take this momentum and go get them with a feeling of confidence.
Well, one hopper to Odor and one away in the third inning. Yeah, and that outing yesterday from Hamels preceded by simply the return of Yu Darvish. Now, Darvish didn't go deep into that ball game. He was on a limited pitch count. He did expend too many pitches on racking up strikeouts. He also walked 4 guys. So it wasn't a perfect outing, but he came out of it healthy, and his stuff was pretty sharp at times. Certainly the slider was filthy.
Yeah, you can't minimize that. His stuff was really good. Now it's just a matter of getting back to where he can pitch comfortably with it and do his job of getting deeper into ball games, which he will.
Jet Bandy.
Look out, guys.
That one to the near end of the Angels dugout.
It's hard to hit a ball that hard and hit it that far foul.
Yeah, that's quite an angle.
Yeah.
Even Bandy noticing, wow.
So you're standing over there on the rail right next to the walkway down to the clubhouse. You don't expect to get a ball that hard off the bat.
Moreland giving this one a look, but just beyond the tarp. 1 and 2 on Bandy. And there you go. Now, I'll tell you what, fans, it seems, no matter what ballpark you go to these days, they're all getting it right.
Yep.
Make the play and then find the kid.
Yep, that they are. The catch and release is in vogue.
Bandy at 264 this year. Couple of home runs. You know, he's not had a ton of time behind the plate. Numbers a little better recently for him. The 2-2, this one smashed down to third. Nice backhand pick by Beltre. Long throw in time. And that is the 8th consecutive out to start this one for A.J. Griffin. Also good to see him getting the ground ball outs. Last 4 balls in play have been ground ball outs.
Yeah, he's going to be pretty much, he's going to have more fly ball outs than ground ball outs. But when he starts getting the ground ball outs, you know he's starting to change speeds a little bit more effectively when using what he has on any given night to its greatest effect. Get guys out in front just a little bit and sneak one in to jam them every once in a while.
Well, Simmons pops this one at a right center. Desmond right there, inning over, and it's another 1-2-3 for Griffin. And he is perfect through 3. We go to the 4th inning, 4-0 Rangers.
To the fourth inning, and it's a 4-0 lead for the Rangers in the fourth. And of course, when we get to Southern California, the first stop I always like to make is at Newport Beach. And the first thing I eat is an albacore melt. And you go, wait a minute, that's just a tuna melt. That's no big deal. Look where you eat it. It's at the end of Balboa Pier. Stand by after the first pitch to Prince Fielder, and you'll see where this restaurant, look at where it's located. At the end of Balboa Pier, that little white building you see, that is Ruby's Diner. And you say, Ruby's? I see those in airports. Ruby's isn't any big deal. But look, they've got an albacore melt, which I know is just kind of a high-class way of saying tuna melt. But take a look at that. That's the view. That little building that became Ruby's used to be a bait shack. They turned it into the original Ruby's Diner, and there's even seating up on the roof, which is where I sat to eat my albacore melt. And with that view, it doesn't matter what you're eating, guys, but the albacore melt's pretty good, I must say.
Nicely done, John. As the ground ball over to the right side by Fielder results in the first out of the fourth inning. I'd say it could matter what you're eating at the bait shop.
It could, yeah.
Regardless of the
probably
view.
does. Well, I was a user of that bait shop in my youth.
Is that right?
Yeah,
back when it was a
spent
bait shop.
a lot of time down there. Yeah, I'll vouch for its John's veracity about that. It was a bait shop, and it was a good bait shop too. Balboa Pier.
Now that is one of the must stops if you get down to the area. There you go.
Yep, right out there. We used to drop a line out there at the end of that pier. Go out early in the morning.
1-1 now to Ryan Rua. Did you do pretty well out there?
Snagged a couple boats going by. It was great. I used to go down with my uncle. My aunt and uncle lived right there at the Balboa Hotel. They owned most of it.
Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah, and he'd take me out there. Look at this thing. John's in heaven right there.
Didn't he?
Nothing better than sitting out in the water having an albacore melt.
Oh, it's spectacular, too, guys. I'll tell you what. It just tastes better. I mean, I could eat an elbow corn, you know, right? I mean, it wouldn't matter. I could care less what I'm eating. When I'm looking at the Pacific, you can almost see Catalina Island from where you sit right there. You know that, Buzz. You probably tried to cast out to Catalina Island back in the day.
Tried to, a couple times, yeah.
They're still fishing off that pier, as you may have seen in the background of one of those shots, too.
Check swing on the appeal. Well, they'll say he went, so Rua down on strikes. And that is the fourth Rangers strikeout in this one tonight. 2 away. Bring up Mitch Moreland. There is something to it. You wish you could explain it, wish you understood it. Really wish you could bottle it, but when you're out on the water, man.
Yeah.
Everything just seems a lot easier. As a pitch to Moreland, a little tight. Mitch with a big home run in the second inning. And it was a no-doubter. 12th of the year, 100th of his career. Chacin. This one flipped out into left field. Base hit. Drops in for Moreland. Rangers with another base runner in this fourth inning. Well, that was a pretty neat moment earlier. The Moreland home run. But I must say my favorite part of it was Buzz predicting it on the about 10 seconds before it happened.
Well, with Mitch, it's not too difficult. You know, the way he's been swinging the bat. If he gets a pitch in the middle of the plate, he can hit it a long way. But the worm has turned for him. When he starts getting balls like that to fall in for him, he's going to go on a tear now for about 3 weeks where he is going to be hot.
Omar Mazara takes a strike. He was hit on the foot last inning. Our TXU Energy power player to watch. Nomar, yeah, when he came up, he was really swinging it and got some games against the Angels, put up some obviously robust numbers.
Okay, his first major league game here against Jared Weaver. Made his major league debut on the 10th of April. And he opened some eyes in a hurry, especially Weaver's for the home run.
One strike pitch. Oh, bouncer over the mound. Play for Andrelton Simmons. He gets Mazzara, and it ends the inning. Rangers leave another man. We'll go to the bottom of the 4th inning in Anaheim. 4-0 Texas. Relieving Terry Ryan of his duties as the Executive VP and General Manager. That was his second tour of duty there. Bob Anthony takes over on the interim basis. Terry Ryan, I think he's a big part of Minnesota Twins history, turns out. Yankees, how about Aroldis Chapman, 105 plus, 15 pitches over 99 miles per hour against the Orioles today. Unbelievable, the hard-throwing left-hander. As we get going, bottom of the 4th inning here in Anaheim. Escobar flied out in the 1st inning. Oh for 1, and A.J. Griffin did a real nice job first time through the order. 9 up, 9 down. The righty's 2-0 pitch. Just fall behind Escobar. Really very good hitter. 3rd in the American League at 322. He's done a great job getting on base this year as well. Takes a strike. The top 10 in the American League. With a 370 on base percentage. That one just missed. Ball 4, and Angels have a leadoff walk in the 4th inning.
First base runner against A.J. Griffin tonight. Nice to see Tony Beasley with the Rangers on this trip. Tony looking great. Great spirits. Great to be around him. He just lifts everybody's spirits when he's around.
That was with us in Chicago. Made a trip with us. Went from baseball's Disneyland in Chicago to the real Disneyland out here in California. First pitch to Calhoun, a little bit in. Cole Calhoun popped up to 3rd, his first time in. We talked about it when he was up in the 1st inning. A guy who probably sees some better pitches just as a result of batting ahead of Mike Trout and Albert Pujols. Griffin seems to have lost the field just a little bit in this 4th inning after the walk to Escobar. Not real close from those two to Calhoun.
Yeah, the same kind of thing happened to AJ his last outing too against the Twins. Worked 4 pretty good innings, and all of a sudden couldn't command the strike zone at all. It just came out of nowhere, it seemed like. Well, I'm sure that Jeff Bannister and Doug Roquet will keep a close eye on AJ and try not to let it get too far out of hand as far as the mechanics are concerned before Doug pays him a visit. A very intent look on Doug Brocail's face.
Calhoun, interesting splits right there. He has not hit the ball well in this ballpark as he will take the count to 2-1. That can be a tough reality for a guy to face when you do your best work on the road. I'd like it to be, I mean, if you had to choose, you'd rather be that you really do your good work at home. 3-1 the count. That game you're talking about against the Twins, he'd given up the home run in the 4th inning. And eventually the control problems led to that grand slam by Max Kepler in the 5th.
Right.
3-1 pitch. And that just missed. Back-to-back walks. Keeps shaking that right arm. And you hope that there's nothing to that, but these are the types of cues that guys like Doug Brocail are really dialed into.
There had been a little bit of an indication, I thought, at the start of this inning, the first few pitches that AJ threw. Go ahead, and we'll talk about that in a second.
Well, while we have a second, I want to remind you can save up to 50% with Coca-Cola Family Pack. Includes 4 tickets, 4 jumbo hot dogs, 4 Coke soft drinks, 2 Kids-Zone wristbands, and 1 souvenir program. The Family Pack is an ideal way to catch the Rangers when they play the Oakland A's, July 25th through the 27th. Go to TexasRangers.com/specials to get your Coca-Cola Family Pack today.
Oh, I was going to say, Dave, is that AJ started getting that front shoulder up a little bit. He started getting his shoulders angled backward as he was making his delivery to home plate. And sometimes that'll tell you guys getting a little bit tired, maybe trying to put a little extra on the ball. Now that he's back to where he was, where you like to see him, the shoulders stay pretty level throughout the time that he takes the ball back, gets ready to throw it, and drives down toward home plate. When you start letting that back shoulder dip or the front shoulder come up, then it's real hard for you to have the same release point, pitch after pitch after pitch, and you tend to be a little bit erratic. And sometimes it has nothing to do with fatigue. Sometimes it's just a mechanical quirk that you can't really finger point. That's where a pitching coach can really come in handy.
This ball smashed to third. Beltre can't handle it. Everybody's safe. Well, that was a rocket. Trout loads him up on a hot smash infield hit.
That first hit of the night for the Angels. Unfortunately, it came on the heels of a couple of walks. But now you're going to deal with Albert Pujols with the bases full. And this is what we were talking about this Angel ball club. The 2 guys in the order, Trout and Pujols, are the ones you want to try and keep the runners in front of them off base. And right now, you don't have any choice. You got to face Albert with the bases full.
That gets the fans into it. Pujols with a couple of homers yesterday. He has 23 RBIs in his last 26 games. He's picked it up a little bit lately. 36 years old. And the numbers continuing to pile up for him, establishing himself in the top 10 all time in so many power categories. 1-1 the count. Well, last year was a good bounce back year for Pujols. There you see in the American League, sitting at 5th with those 64 RBIs. Big curveball misses badly. 2-1. Last year got back to that 40 home run mark again. The first time since 2010. People were wondering if maybe some of that power was starting to dissipate, and last year he resoundingly answered no. The 2-1. And Griffin in a heap of trouble now. And that gets Banny up on that top step. Escobar third, Calhoun second, Mike Trout at first. The 3-1. And that's the first run of the game. A bases loaded walk to Pujols, and the Angels are on the board. Three walks this inning. After retiring 9 straight to start it, Griffin having a real time of it in this 4th inning. Now Daniel Nava. He was looking to ambush Griffin right there. And Sean Tollison preparing quickly. For Griffin, working on 7 days rest. And on extended rest this year, he and many others in the Rangers rotation have put up sparkling numbers. So much better when they get just a little bit extra rest. And it looked like we were on our way for that kind of a start. And now 1-1 to Nava.
Well, the one big exception to that extended rest is Cole Hamels. And Yu Darvish should be that way too. They don't like the extra rest. They like to keep the consistency going. And it's important for the best guys to go out there every 5th day.
7 days is certainly unusual. I mean,
Yeah.
when you talk extra rest, usually not that many. Fly ball left field. Rua underneath it. Tagging third Calhoun. He heads to the plate and he'll score. So a sac fly by Daniel Nava makes it a 2-run game.
All right, and if you're A.J. Griffin, you say, okay, I made myself a bad spot to lie in, and now I've given up the 2 runs, but that's it. That's where you have to draw the line mentally, right here. And now you've got Giovotella and Joy coming up. He said, I don't want any more runs to score in this inning. I'll give them 2 because of the 3 walks that I had in the inning. But that's it. And you accept that, and you draw that line mentally and say, we'll go from here, go forward from here.
Well, the 6th and 7th place hitters coming up too. Giovotella grounded out in the 2nd inning. And bounces one to short. Profar, quick scoop. Odor to first. Double play. And the inning is over. So you got another ground ball from Giovotella. This one worth 2 outs. But the Angels find back in it. On Fox Sports Southwest is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. And by the all-new 3-row Mazda CX-9, meticulously crafted for driving because driving matters. The Big A in Anaheim. Rangers leading at 4-2 as we go to the 5th inning. Bobby Wilson will start things off. Wilson against Jhoulys Chacín. Chacín in relief tonight for Nick Tropiano, who left after 2. And he delivers strike 1 to Bobby Wilson.
Let's see if the Rangers can get the offense back in order now and add on some runs. They were able to do it yesterday a couple of times, and it would be nice to be able to do that behind A.J. Griffin here tonight.
Bouncer foul. Makes the count 0-2 on Wilson. Now, he hit a ball hard in the 2nd inning, but a line drive out. So 0 for 1 tonight. Chacín huffing and puffing out there on the mound in his 0-2. This one hit out to right center. Dropping fast and falls in. Base hit for Wilson. So leadoff hit in the 5th inning.
Number 19, JURICKSON.
Out of the top of the order for Profar.
Yeah, it's what the guys will tell Bobby going when he goes back to the bench. So you just hit the first one too hard. You got to hit it softer out there and find that spot to let it fall in. The line drive at somebody, that doesn't do any good. But a nice soft looping base hit to right center, that'll help yourself and help the ball club.
No doubt. Take those style points and
Yeah.
we'll work on results. Here's Profar, who's had 2 really good at bats in that leadoff spot tonight. He walked in the 1st, came around to score on Odor's home run. Now, he struck out in the 2nd inning, but that was on the 9th pitch of that at bat. Went 8 pitches to walk in the 1st. It's 2-0. So he has set things up pretty well from that leadoff spot. Getting the start today at short. Chacín finds the corner. 2-1 the count. I mentioned that Chacín is throwing in relief for just the 20th time in his career. He started just shy of 130 games in his big league career, mostly with Colorado. And there's a strike. 2-2 to Profar. His numbers as a reliever, pretty good. I mean, they're a little bit better as a reliever when you look at batting average against, strikeouts to walks, those sorts of things. 2-2. And it's a full count again on Profar. Man.
Save time. You might as well just start 3-2. You don't have to worry about it. Ian Desmond would like to see some of those pitches. He hasn't seen a lot tonight.
Well, Juricksson's seen all of them.
Yep.
This will be the 24th that he will have seen tonight. We're just underway in the 5th inning. Shin-Soo Choo missing the start again tonight, 4th consecutive game as we begin the 2nd half. But Profar filling in like Choo, watching so many pitches, or at least extending at bat so well. Chacín so far has given up 3 hits. He has struck out 2, but he has settled this game down after the start by Nick Tropiano. Tropiano gave up 3 home runs in the first 2 innings, and they weren't cheapies. Pretty much knew off the bat they were gone. And when Tropiano left the game, Mike Scioscia came out to talk to Marty Foster, our plate umpire, and called in Mike Winters from 3rd, and they had a little conversation, and we surmised that the point was that Tropiano might be hurt. Little tapper back to the mound. Chacín to 2nd 1. The relay to 1st is wildly past Choi. So Profar is on via the fielder's choice. And really, Chacín lucky that one didn't end up in center field. His throw
very nearly got away from it.
No, he was throwing up the slope, which is always problematic when you field the ball as a pitcher. You try and get as level a footing as you possibly can, but Chacin didn't have a chance to get off the side slope. He was throwing up there, and you have to shorten your stride up to make sure you can get out over your front leg and make a good level throw to second. And you're right, he was lucky that ball didn't sail into center.
So Profar simply replacing Bobby Wilson at first. 1 out now, and Desmond 0 for 2 so far. And chasing one off the plate for strike 1.
Desmond is the one active Ranger that's had a significant number of at-bats against Chacin. And coming into play tonight, 5 out of 13 against the right-hander.
One strike pitch, and it's 1-1. Desmond had a couple of tough games in Chicago before homering yesterday in the finale. It was 1 for 4. And that thus far has been his only hit on this trip. 1 for 13, including his at-bats tonight. And in a hole here, a ball and 2 strikes. Even with that, the numbers still very good. Desmond 6th in the American League with his .315 average. Chacin's 1-2, and he got him swinging. 2 gone in the 5th.
And twice now, Chacin has really worked over Ian Desmond. Got that slider, and that's a good slider going down and away. And you can tell by the couple of swings that Desmond had in that at bat against the slider that it's a very tight one, a tough one to pick up.
So with 2 away, here is Odor, who's 2 for 2 tonight. Slight shift on the infield. Just seen keeping an eye on Profar. Escobar way off the line. And pretty much handling that left side of the infield by himself. This ball hit sharply to second base. Giovitella will lob it over and retire Odor to end the inning. No runs, a hit. Rangers leave a man. Halfway there tonight. A.J. Griffin and the Rangers lead by 2. game is July 28th, when the Rangers face the Kansas City Royals. First 10,000 fans will get a Papa John's Texas Rangers Throwback Thursday collector pin commemorating Kenny Rogers' perfect game. Get your tickets today at TexasRangers.com or by calling 972-RANGERS. There, see it, 4-2. Rangers leading. Griffin wobbled a little bit in that fourth inning. We'll see if he gets himself right here in the fifth. First pitch to Choi. This ball hammered out to right center and gone. Solo shot by G-Man Choi, and it makes it a one-run game. Not the way Griffin wanted to start the fifth, and if there were concerns in that Rangers dugout prior to the beginning of this inning, well, those have escalated that much more. Ball one to Jet Bandy, who grounded out in the third inning. And Griffin stopped halfway through on that one. And no doubt, not swing by Choi. Ball right down the middle. Now 1-1 to Bandy. So bad location, and as oftentimes is the case, results in something bad for the pitcher. And for Griffin, the 8th home run he's allowed this year. 1-2 to Bandy. And AJ's big looping curveball makes it 2-2. Just missed.
Yeah, Dave, you know, we talked about AJ being a fly ball pitcher predominantly, and that part for fly ball pitchers, when you do make a mistake, most of them don't stay in the ballpark.
And now full count. So you know he wanted to come out, be aggressive after an inning in which he walked 3 guys, throws one right down the heart of the plate. And you know, that's the other thing that happens. 3-2, and he got Bandy swinging. Just a second strikeout tonight for AJ, but that one is the first out of the 5th inning.
Well, down and away is going to get a lot of folks out. That's pretty good execution for the 3-2 fastball. That's a good spot to throw it. And Bandy just not able to catch up with it.
So now Andrelton Simmons, and he's swinging first pitch and hits this one sharply into center field, a base hit. His bat has come around a little bit lately. Simmons seemed real aggressive tonight. 1 for 2 now, and he'd come in hitting .370 over the last 20 games. So he's got the hot bat going. We will check in with Dana Larson on a Chevy game break. All right, thanks, Dana. Home run here by Choi makes this a 1-run game. Rangers scored the first 4. But the Angels have chipped away and are back in it. 1 strike pitch to Yunel Escobar. It's even now at 1-1. Escobar walked to start that troublesome 4th inning. Simmons has stolen 2 this year in 3 attempts. So Griffin will try to keep him close. Bouncer third. Beltre to second for 1. Odor's relay in time. Double play. Second one tonight, 115th of the season, most in Major League Baseball. Rangers lead by 1 as we go to the 6th. For 2 at a Sonic Drive-In. The Ranger hits a home run this inning. Pat Youngblood on Copper Canyon will win $800. And if a Ranger hits a grand slam this inning, Pat will win $25,000. You can register at any participating Sonic restaurant. Adrian Beltre leads off the 6th inning. Chacin starts him off with strike 1. It'll be Beltre, Fielder, and Ryan Rua. Opening game in Anaheim. First of 3 against the Angels before an off day on Thursday. And Beltre pops this one foul over near the Rangers dugout, and that one goes into the dugout. 0-2 the count. Now Beltre back in the 1st inning. That one followed Odor.
Yeah, that one number 426 in Adrian's great career, and that ties him with Billy Williams and, for the moment, Miguel Cabrera on the all-time list. 48th all-time.
Pretty amazing. 1-2 the count now on Beltre. What a fantastic career it's already been. 37 years old. Still with several years left in the tank. This one into the deck just above us. Count 1-2.
Yeah, you look at the body of work, you know, over 1,500 RBI and the home runs we just talked about. Games played at 3rd base, 2nd all-time to Brooks Robinson. There's no telling where he's going to end up other than Cooperstown.
Right.
I will venture a guess and say that's probably where it's going to all end up.
Count stays 1-2 on Beltre. Yeah, I mean, you figure he's going to add to the numbers he already has, which, you know, I think if he retired right now, he's right there.
Yep.
But he'll end up with 3,000 hits.
Right.
Just such a terrific defensive third baseman. 1-2. And he reaches out, breaks his bat, a bloop into left. That's trouble, but Simmons is out. And he makes the play for the first out of the 6th inning.
Now we talk about the range Andrelton Simmons has, and there's another indication. We're normally talking lateral on ground balls, but there's a great display of range going out for a pop-up. And a fantastic jump by Simmons, but oh, what speed going out and able to capture that, reaching up over his head. Difficult play, but Simmons made it look pretty routine.
That's a tough out to start the 6th inning. Now Fielder smashes it down to first. Choi will go to the bag himself, 2 away. Well, this one started, looked like it might be headed toward being a laugher. The way the Rangers jumped out of those first 2 innings. But,
you know, sometimes you jump out in front and the guys on the bench start thinking it's a laugher and it's going to take care of itself, and all of a sudden that offense gets shut down a little bit, and now you can't restart it. Now it's problematic when you get into the latter stages of the ball game and you're still stuck on 4 runs.
Ryan Rua has had a couple of tough at-bats today, and he takes strike 1. He struck out swinging in both the first and 4th inning. A 4-3 ball game. The scene right down the middle, and it is 0-2. Yeah, A.J. Griffin hydrating. Through 5 so far. Has only allowed 3 hits, but it's the 3 walks in the 4th inning that really got it. Ball and 2 strikes on Ryan Rua. He's been getting regular playing time since we have begun play here in the second half. And he strikes out for the 3rd time tonight. A 1-2-3, 6th inning for Chacin. We go to the bottom of the 6th in Anaheim. Rangers leading the Angels 4-3. Fans to the ballpark on Sunday, July 31st for the final game of the Royals-Rangers series will be treated to the Green Dot bobblehead, courtesy of Nitto Tire. 2nd in a series of 3 dot bobbleheads this season. Get your tickets today at TexasRangers.com and be sure to collect all 3 dot bobbleheads. 4-3 Rangers, bottom of the 6th inning, and Cole Calhoun fouls off, strike 1.
Critical inning here, Dave, for A.J. Griffin. This is where he's got to put his foot down. So enough. Don't let the Angels think they can get any more off you. Make it a very quick inning, and make sure the Angels understand they are trailing for a reason, because they're not the better ball club out here tonight. You get them an opportunity to get back in this ball game more than they already have, and that's not a real good start in itself.
No, sharp single by Calhoun, and that sets the table for Mike Trout. And then Albert Pujols also do this inning.
Pretty much middle to Calhoun.
So base runner on for Mike Trout. Trout with an infield hit tonight, 1 for 2. Brings a .316 average into the game, and he takes strike one. Take a look at our Ford leaderboard and look at these averages against the Rangers. When you look at active players, Miguel Cabrera, obviously, the .390, that stands out, but right there behind him. 0-2 now to Trout.
Yeah, Mike Trout, 850 career hits, and he's still 24. That's
impossible.
A pretty good start to a career. Well, that's why you hear Mike Trout's name mentioned with the greats of baseball history. You know, he belongs in that category for right now. And if he continues the way he's going, he's going to be right up there with the greats that have ever played the game.
2-strike pitch, and just a little high. They want an appeal, but Mark Wagner at first said he did not go. 1-2 the count.
But I guess that's the caveat that makes all the difference in the world is if he continues.
Yep. Yeah, there have been other great players who've gotten off to fantastic starts in their careers, but couldn't hang on. That one got Trout. Somewhere elbow or up on that left arm. And he heads to first. Not happy and in a little bit of pain, you can tell. Tell the way he held the hand.
I got him on the left hand and left elbow, I guess it was, looking at that replay. I thought it was his hand, but it was the elbow. What's it? Right just above the padding there.
Well, and that one. That one appears to have spelled the end of the evening for A.J. Griffin. Jeff Bannister indeed takes the baseball. Griffin not happy as he has to give it up here in the sixth. Rangers leading by a run. Tony Barnett coming on. We'll be back in a moment. Couple of men on, nobody out in the sixth inning, and Tony Barnett on in relief.
Tony's 37th appearance. We saw him come in Chicago, the first game of that series. He worked an inning and a third of shutout baseball and retired 22 of the last 26 he has faced. The important one, from my standpoint, is he's inherited 29 runners. Only 5 of them have scored, and right now that is paramount, facing Albert Pujols with 2 on and nobody out in a 1-run game.
Yeah, it seems like every bullpen either has or is looking for that one guy, or maybe more, who are adept at that very thing, stranding inherited base runners. Well, that's a big spot for Tony Barnett. Up against Pujols, and then starts him off with ball 1. Pujols walked with the bases loaded in the 4th inning, driving in the first Angels run tonight. That was part of a rather ugly couple of moments for A.J. Griffin where his command simply eluded him. Check to both runners, and Barnett's 1-0. There's a strike.
Well, there's a little bit of history between Pujols and Barnett, but not much, just 2 at-bats. Albert does not have a base hit against Barnett, but the Angels, as we talked about, have been much better this month of July. That .355 average with runners in scoring position for the month.
Barnett's 1-1, and it's shot foul by Pujols for strike 2. Big spot for Barnett here, 32-year-old rookie, against the 36-year-old veteran Albert Pujols, who is like Mike Trout, put together, collected some of the great numbers in the game's history. But you can see he is a candidate. One of those things the Rangers like so much, the double play. 1-2. And it's 2-2, and that's going to really louse up the opportunity for a double play. Wild pitch allows Calhoun to third, Trout to second base.
Yeah, Tony Barnett kind of shaking his head. He's trying to make too good a pitch and overthrew the breaking ball a little bit, and Bobby Wilson, not much he could do back there. He got his body positioned as quickly as he could, but he caromed off to his right.
Now first base empty. Pujols waiting on a 2-2 from Barnett. Here it comes. We'll do it again. Look out, that one up in there quickly. Those fans. There you go. A base hit and a hit batter. That was the end of the afternoon or evening for A.J. Griffin. Wild pitch from Barnett moves them both into scoring position for Pujols. 2-2. Got him swinging. But he got Albert way out in front of that one.
Well, as the years have gone on, Pujols seeing more and more off-speed stuff, and it just not quite enough balance and pitch recognition to adjust to that. Early in his career, you couldn't throw the ball slow enough where he couldn't have a good swing at it because he had that ability to spot the pitch and adjust to it. But that's not quite the same Albert Pujols that was 4 or 5 years ago. Fortunately, if it still were, there'd be a lot of pitchers that wouldn't have a job.
Doug Brocale, who was quickly out there to have a word with Tony Barnett and Bobby Wilson.
Well, in this particular situation, Dave, you got the tying run at third base, 1 out. You've got left-handed hitting Daniel Nava up there. First base is open, and you have right-handed hitting Johnny Giovatella waiting to bat next. So the question is, do you want to go aggressively at Nava, or do you want to pitch very carefully to him, see if you can get him expand his strike zone, with the idea of if you lose him, and you pitch to the right-hander with the bases loaded.
Nava at 247 for the year. And he fouls off strike 1.
And if you're going to go at him aggressively, where is his hot zone? Where do you want to stay away from? How do you want to employ your stuff to keep it out of the lower part of the plate, out over the plate, where he likes the ball? And the answer very quickly was you come up and in, or get the breaking ball in on his fists, but stay in there for the most part, and maybe go down and away out of the strike zone to him.
Well, swing and smash, that one just foul. Oh boy.
Yep. Down, out, over the plate. If you're coming in, come in there hard. Come in there with a purpose. And make sure it's your best stuff. Otherwise, you risk what almost happened there.
So Barnett now does have the advantage in the at-bat.
And there are your hot zones. that 500 average, that's the area right there. From there down to the middle of the plate you want to stay away from. You go down away from him, out of the strike zone. You get into chase. You can also get into chase up and across the strike zone. If you're going to come in off the plate. If you're going up, get it up above the letters. And make sure it has something on it.
Let's see what he tries here. 0-2. Nava just got a piece of it.
Yeah, good effort there. That's down out of the strike zone. That's a pretty good spot. Now you can either go back there again, even a little further down and out of the strike zone, or since he's already seen that out there, now you can come up and in if you want to and see if you can get a chase on it. This is where conviction of your pitch is extremely important. Make sure you know that that's the pitch you want to throw, and you're going to throw it to the best of your ability.
Barnett set again, the 0-2.
Okay.
So again, trying to get him chased. Now this is what reminded me a little bit the other day. Martin Perez against Javi Baez.
Right.
Early in the game. Yeah.
Went to 3-2, and I don't think he was really convinced that the pitch he was throwing was the right one, or the location was the right one for him. Either of the two will lead to lack of execution. But you know, when you pick a pitch and you pick a location, make sure it's the one that you feel really good about. You may be proven wrong, but at least be convinced that that's the right one.
1-2, and there's a bouncer to Odor. Has a little trouble with it. Has a lot of trouble with it, and everybody is safe. Ball game tied on the error by Rougned Odor. There's one of the other problems that has really hurt the Rangers lately, and that has been some defensive miscues at very bad times.
Now this is just a simple ground ball that Rougned had it come up just a little bit on him, but still it should have been able to pick up the ball and get the out. He got into a little bit of a hurry after he fumbled it initially and then lost the chance for Odor. That is his sixth, make that seventh error in the month of July.
Uncharacteristic, shaky defense on this road trip to start the second half. Not by just Odor either. So an error, but an RBI for Nava. He's at first. Trout is at third. The pitch to Giavotella is right in there for a strike. 1 out in the inning. Though a moment ago it looked very much as if that was going to be the second out. It was still going to get the run home,
right?
But at least it would have been the second out. Now Barnett still has some work to do to avoid losing, or at least turning over the lead to the Angels. The lead is gone. The Rangers' once 4-0 lead is gone. This one shot out to right center, and the Angels for the first time will lead. Trout scores 5-4 Los Angeles. They close the book on A.J. Griffin too. Both those runs this inning charged to Griffin's line.
Well, Tony Barnett not able to slam the door on the Angels. The error certainly hurt. The pitch to Giavotella, though, had a lot of the plate. Pretty much middle, and Giavotella. A singles hitter that beat him with a single.
So inning continues. G-Man Choi, he had the home run in the 5th inning, and Barnett going to take a moment before going after him. Choi, one of just a couple lefties in the lineup today for Mike Scioscia and the Angels. And in fact, he and Calhoun, the two lefties, have both contributed. In fact, they have combined to score 3 of the Angels' 5 runs. Just off the plate, ball 1 to Troy. Tony Barnett in relief of A.J. Griffin.
AJ is going to be sitting there saying, what in the world happened?
His line 5 runs on 4 hits in 5 innings. Troy, high slow chopper foul. Griffin today, 3 walks, 2 strikeouts. Gave up the home run. And that, those walks, it was strange the way that happened in the 4th inning. Back-to-back walks to Escobar and Calhoun. Then with the bases loaded, he labored a little bit with Albert Pujols before finally walking him and forcing in a run. Barnett's 1-1. Just off the plate. Well, a great start to this one. 3 home runs in the first 2 innings, and the Rangers were leading 4-0, but boy, it's been all Angels since. It's been rather insidious the way they've done it. 3-1 the count. Long patient at bats, walks, hit batters, errors, sac flies. And then this guy, Troy, had the 1 home run, solo shot to start the 5th.
Now you need to find a way to put a capper on this inning right here and get back in and go to hitting again.
Yeah, you could use one of those ground ball double plays that the Rangers are so good at getting. 3-1. That's a full count. For a moment there, that one jumped up and bit Bobby Wilson, but he appears fine. The Angels have played a lot better baseball lately, and it has been an awful year for them. 8 games under 500 coming in. They're 14.5 games out, tied with Oakland in the cellar of the American League West. But they feel like as they get healthy, they will be much more competitive, and certainly have been much more competitive lately. They just absolutely destroyed the White Sox here in a 3-game series over the weekend. Outscoring the White Sox 16-1. They have battled back nicely here tonight. The 3-2 to Troy, and a bouncer. Odor has it to second for 1. The relay to first. Got him, double play. Odor had a little bobble, but just enough to get it to second, and they beat Choi for the double play. Inning over. Angels pick a pair and have taken the lead 5-4 to the 7th. back to the beginning of this one. Rougned Odor with a 2-run homer in the first. Next batter was Adrian Beltre. He homered to left. And it was 3-0 right out of the gates. Next inning, Mitch Moreland looking for number 100 in his career. He got it. 4-0 Rangers, but then, well, the Angels time it back. 2 in the fourth, 1 in the fifth, and then this, Johnny Giavitello, RBI single, capped a 2-run 6th inning. And the comeback by the Angels to give them the current 5-4 lead. So now off to the 7th inning we go. Fernando Salas is on in relief for the Angels.
Yeah, now Mike Socha able to go to the big part of his bullpen. That's the guys that he entrusts with shutting the opposition down for the remainder of the ball game. And that's not the spot the Rangers wanted to be in, but that's where they find themselves against a guy like Salas. And they've seen him a lot. They know what to expect. Now it's a matter of going out and getting after it.
Well, Mitch Moreland leading off the inning. Falls behind 0-2. Moreland 2 for 2 today, though. Had the home run we just saw in our game summary. And then when he came up again in the 4th inning, managed to shoot one out into left field. Going the opposite way for a base hit. The 0-2. And he lifts this one high in the air. Out into shallow left. Nava coming in, but it is Escobar, the third baseman, going out. He makes the play, and there's 1 out in the 7th inning. We'll bring up Nomar Mazara. So Nick Tropiano had a very rough go tonight for the Angels with just 2 innings. Jhoulys Chacín cleaned it up with 4 shutout innings in relief before now Fernando Salas, who delivers low. Ball 1 to Mazara. Some activity in the Rangers bullpen. Keone Kela getting loose out there. Barnett just worked the 6th inning in relief of A.J. Griffin. We've got a real ball game here tonight. Late night baseball out on the West Coast. 2-0 to Mazara. And caught the inside corner. There's a time this year where Salas has worked as the closer for the Angels. Houston Street has been on the disabled list on and off. Fouled away, 2-2. Joe Smith, the setup man, has been on the disabled list on and off. And they have just had a real tough time figuring out things at the back end of their bullpen on those rare occasions where they've needed somebody back there. It's just been a struggle this year for the Angels all the way around. 2-2. Mazara put this one into the stands, and the count will stay 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Yeah, when Street went on the disabled list earlier in the season and Joe Smith was elevated to the closer's role, and it didn't suit him well. He had some troubles and he had some arm problems, and it has been a struggle to get him back to throwing effectively. And they've had a mix and match out there in front of Street ever since Street came back from the DL.
Shift on the infield for Mazara. They play him to pull over to the first base side. They'll shoot this one out to the gap, left center field, base hit. Mazara with a great turn at first, striding towards second and in there easily with the double. That ball hit hard. Mazara's 10th double of the year. That's a big hit. Now the Rangers have the potential tying run in scoring position.
Nomar doing what he does so well, taking a pitch down and away. That wasn't a terrible pitch by any means from Salas, but Nomar Mazara able to drive that ball to the opposite gap. Mike Trout playing over in right center had a long way to go to cut it off, so that enabled Mazara to get into second base fairly easily.
Nomar walking off the bag. And now Bobby Wilson, who is 1 for 2 today, smoked a ball for an out in the second inning, and then blooped one out there into the outfield for a single in the fifth. What will he do next? Outfield plays him straight up. Salas grooves one for a strike, 1-1. We're in the 7th inning of a 1-run game, opening game of this series against the Angels. I'm mentioning last inning how the Angels have played a whole lot better of late, though they're still way out of it. Ball and 2 strikes now on Wilson. They did bring up the point. I was chatting with a couple of their broadcasters up here today. They said, well, against the White Sox, we did miss Chris Sale and Jose Quintana.
Yep.
And point out that in this series, they're going to miss Darvish and Hamels. So they're living right now. Sometimes the schedule just works in your favor. Wilson smashes one into left field, base hit. Mazara with a good start. He'll score easily from second to tie the game. And Bobby Wilson with the RBI double. It's a 5-5 contest.
Well, there was your answer about what Bobby Wilson's going to do this at bat. He did both things well. He hit it hard, and he got it in a place where nobody can catch it. That's a pretty good combo. Very big hit for Bobby Wilson and the Rangers, getting this ball game tied up and getting Bobby in scoring position himself. Salas trying to get that ball in off the plate a little bit. Bobby wouldn't let that ball get there. He just turned it around quickly.
Yeah, and that's the other real good point, or part of this, is that now Bobby out there with the opportunity to give this team the lead.
And you have the right part of the order coming up now. They've turned the order over after the back-to-back doubles by your 8 and 9 men. And you get back to the top with Profar and Desmond and Odor and see if you can't take the lead, regain the lead.
Boy, a huge boost too when after you allow a couple of runs, you're able to come right back and answer with your own. And that's the spot for Salas there. His job, come in and get that quick shutdown inning. And try and keep things going, keep that momentum on your side. But the Rangers have answered beautifully here in the 7th. Profar sends one foul out of play.
The big thing now, Dave, for the Rangers, keep this thing going. Make this a multiple run inning. Kind of make up for the little downtime that the offense had from the 3rd inning on. Get an opportunity in this part of the ballgame. This is where you want to answer the bell.
Profar scored a run tonight. He's had an interesting night at the plate. The walk, the strikeout. Reached on the fielder's choice. This is the case a lot of times. The box score doesn't always give you a real good indication of what a guy has done that night. He has put some very good at bats on these Angels pitchers.
It was 25 pitches, the first 3 at bats total.
Yes.
Doing a pretty good job of seeing a lot of pitchers, working the pitchers.
The 1-1. Looks like he's got another shot at making this a deep at bat again.
Yep.
In there today, giving Elvis Andrus a break. Two-one pitch, way tight.
I'd really love to see Jurickson get aboard and give Ian Desmond a shot. This is his time of the ball game. Desmond has proven to be very, very good in late inning situations.
Yeah, Ian with great overall numbers, of course. But then, especially in these close games, he's delivered some awfully big hits. There is a walk, and PROFAR is aboard. 2 men on for Ian Desmond, and that's going to be it for Salas. So not real effective. A couple of doubles and a walk. Salas is done. Social will take the baseball, and we'll tell you about the new pitcher when we come back. Due up. J.C. Ramirez is the new pitcher for the Angels.
Ramirez claimed off the waiver wire from Cincinnati by the Angels earlier in the year. Overall, this is 37th game. Rather inflated 5.62 ERA and league hitting .278 against the right-hander. Brought into a situation here where the Rangers could retake the lead if Ian Desmond can come through. Bobby Wilson and JURICKSON PROFAR at second and first.
You were mentioning Ian Desmond and how big he has been in these spots. Pops this one up, first base side, and it's going to be handled by Choi. Well, some nights it's just not to be.
Yep. Maybe a little over anxious. Ian has only had the one hit since the All-Star break. That was the home run yesterday, and might be just trying a little too hard right at the moment. Happens to everybody.
And one for his last 15 now. Here's Odor. He is homered, singled, grounded out. But he has also committed a very big error in this ball game. It's 14th of the year. Takes strike one from Ramirez. Ramirez, the fourth pitcher of the evening for the Angels. Oh, and 2 the count. Rangers as a team with runners in scoring position. That has been the calling card. When they have had opportunities, they've cashed in this year. Count stays 0-2. It's our AT&T high-speed replay, and we go back to Odor in the first inning. Now, this is how the scoring got started tonight. That was a 2-run shot. And for Odor, his 17th of the year. One and 2 the count.
One thing about Rugnet, I don't think he can throw the ball too hard for him. He likes that fastball, and velocity doesn't seem to bother him too much. Ramirez might be right up his alley. 97, 98.
Oh, he rushed that one by him. 98 miles per hour, and Odor down swinging ends the inning. The Rangers get a big run back and tie the game as we go to the bottom of the 7th. Upcoming schedule for the Rangers. 2 more here in LA, and then a travel day Wednesday night. That's an evening game on Wednesday. So Thursday, an off date in Kansas City, and then 3 against the Royals over the weekend. Finally back home, a 7-game homestand with the A's and the Royals in town. That's how we'll wrap up July, get to the trade deadline on August 1st, and as we head to the bottom of the 7th inning, Keone Kela on a relief, 3rd pitcher of the evening for the Rangers.
Yeah, Keone making his 2nd appearance since coming back from the disabled list, his 9th appearance overall. He had a 3-strikeout inning in Chicago the other day, his first action, and he starts off by throwing a first pitch strike.
Well, he's got the 8 and 9 hitters to start things in this 7th inning. Jeff Bandy's 0 for 2. That one got him on the arm. I thought for a moment maybe caught a piece of the handle, but it hit Bandy, and the lead man on in the 7th inning. And they've had the lead man on now in the last 4 frames.
Fastball just getting away a little bit from Keone Kela. Bandy kind of going into the pitch, but not much he can do. Ball got him on the right wrist, like.
Did it? Or did it?
Yep. Jeff Bannister hoping they'd get a swing out of that, which would have made it a strike instead of hit by pitch.
So Bandy is on, and Simmons shoots one into right field. Base hit. Bandy got a good start. He's at 3rd. Mazzara will get it back in quickly. Bandy not going to challenge him there, but Simmons out at 2nd base with the double.
Well, it's something the Rangers have seen Simmons do the entire year. Every time he has come up, he has swung at the first pitch, if it's been in the same zip code. And he's able to take the ball the other way for the opposite field double. Pitch on the inside part of the plate. It's supposed to be away, but Simmons able to loop it in for the two-bagger. Now the Rangers have to pull the infield all the way in with a go-ahead run at third.
Another tough spot here. And this time it's Kella dealing with a couple of runners in scoring position. Now Escobar takes strike one. Escobar 0 for 2 with a walk and a run scored.
The Ranger pitchers have done it to themselves in the last 3 innings, other than the home run that led off the 5th inning. They started innings off with 2 walks, with a walk and or with a hit by pitch and a single, and now with a double and a hit by pitch.
This one bounces just foul. Beltre double check, making sure of it. 0-2 the count.
Really in need of a strikeout here. Keone is the perfect guy for it. He's got a couple of weapons to go after Escobar with.
The 0-2. And wanted it up there. Wanted to see if he could get Escobar to chase that. And he did.
Not a bad idea at 96. He's still got that curveball in his back pocket. He can throw. That's his, I would say right now, that's probably his preferred strikeout pitch in this situation. One thing you have to guard about is the potential for a wild pitch.
And there is the curve. And he gets him swinging. First out of the 7th inning.
Good sharp breaking ball. And Keone, that is a true 12-6 breaking ball. Going straight down. And a lot of good velocity on that for Keone Kella.
Our Kubota power stats. How about that? 44%. Of course, you can add that one. So 16 strikeouts out of the 35 batters faced for Kella. Well, I guess 37 batters faced. You get the point. Here's Calhoun. Too much extra math to do right there. Calhoun 1 for 2 with a walk. He has scored 2 runs. He's been right in the middle of everything. Big spot here, last of the 7th inning. Bandy started it. He was hit by a pitch. And then Simmons moved him to third on his double. That'll end up in the seats. 1-1.
Well, this is a spot you kind of pick your poison. You got the left-handed hitter, Calhoun. He's a pretty good hitter. You got first base open, so you can work carefully to him, but you have Mike Trout in the on-deck circle. And you can also go after Calhoun, which the Rangers look like they're doing here, with the idea that if you get Calhoun and no run is scored, then you can work around Trout, walking probably, to work to Pujols. But not an easy situation no matter which path you choose.
The infield remains up on the edge of the grass. And they have got to do whatever they can to cut Bandy down at the plate.
Yeah, and that takes really a pitch away from Keone Kella. Good breaking ball there. It takes the high inside fastball away from him. You don't want a jam shot with the infield pulled all the way in. That's one way to loop it over the infield, which would normally have an easy play on it. So you stay away from an inside fastball to a guy like Calhoun. He's relatively strong, and you try to go with the breaking ball and have him chase a pitch up and away.
You know, with the man at third, a couple of times he has delivered that curveball in the dirt with a lot of confidence.
Bobby Wilson's got to be on his toes to block that thing.
Another 1-2 and another good block.
Good job. Well, Bobby got his start here under Mike Scioscia, who is one of the best technicians of catching that there is. Bobby, very sound fundamentally. Watch how he goes down. Gets his whole body down. He doesn't try to scoop that out with a glove. He's getting his whole body leaned forward so the ball comes up hits his chest protector and falls straight in front of him.
Two and two the count. Keller delivers. Fouled off. Looked like Bobby was setting up inside, and that one went outside.
I would think here Keone's probably going to go back to the breaking ball. See if he can get after that fastball away. See if they can get Calhoun to chase something in the dirt. Calhoun pretty solid though. He's already seen it a couple times now. But if you're going to throw it on 2 and 2, you need to be prepared to throw it on 3 and 2.
Well, we'll find out right here. A smash, diving stop Odor to the plate, and Wilson couldn't hold it. Angels lead 6-5.
Well, what a play on both ends, though. A great diving stop by Rougned Odor. And from his knees, or close to his knees, he made the best throw he possibly could. And Bobby Wilson almost able to handle a very tough short hop. Oh, this is an all-out dive. That curveball stayed up a bit, but Odor, from right there, couldn't get a whole lot on it. He had enough to get it there, but the ball short hop Bobby Wilson. That bat out in front didn't help the cause any at all. See Bobby trying to handle that short hop and make the tag at the same time, and never was able to secure the ball.
So on the corners, still only one out. The Angels lead by a run, and that ball smashed left field, and it is gone. (9-5) Angels on Trout's 19th homer of the year.
Mike Trout got a fastball that was supposed to be away. It came back to the middle of the plate. Trout pretty quick inside. That ball, probably not high enough to say that it's up against Trout. That's where you'd prefer to pitch it. That ball kind of waist high, so we'll say middle. Inside, but Trout very quick in there, able to drive it out of the ballpark. Pulls those hands in, and he is a strong young man, driving that ball out to left field.
Now more strength here in Albert Pujols. 0 for 2 with a walk. And a bouncer third base side. Beltre has it and gets Pujols for the second out of the inning. Time to check in again with Dana Larson on a Chevy game break. All right, thanks, Dana. 2 away here, and Daniel Nava stepping in. Nava has driven in a couple in tonight's game. One on a sacrifice fly and one on an error in the 6th inning. Buries that one, 1-1 the count. So Rangers in the top of the 7th inning scored that run, back-to-back doubles by Mazzara and Wilson. That tied the game once again at 5. But the Angels have powered back for 4 in this bottom of the 7th. 3-run blast by Mike Trout. One ball, 2 strikes on Daniel Nava. And they wanted that one up. Keller delivered it up, but Nava wouldn't chase. A.J. Griffin went 5+ tonight, worked into that 6th inning, but could not retire either of the 2 batters he faced. And Tony Barnett came on a relief, allowed those 2 runners to score. And there's a swing and a miss. Nava down on strikes. That ends the 7th, but it's a 4-run 7th inning for the Angels. They lead it 9-5. Come to expect and more. Watch every out-of-market game live in HD on over 400 supported devices. It includes a free subscription to At-Bat Premium, the #1 app for live baseball. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Go to MLB.tv for details. He was enjoying this game in the early stages. But it has not gone well for the Rangers in the late innings here as we go to the 8th. And a new pitcher on for Anaheim. Well, I take that back. That's still Ramirez, who came in last inning. And gets away from him. And Cunningham, the new left fielder. It was a 4-run bottom of the 7th inning for the Angels. Beltre leading things off and has gotten ahead in the count 2-0 here. Beltre homer to the first, 1 for 3 tonight. Rangers jumped all over Nick Tropiano in the first 2 innings. Tropiano, we just got a report, did leave the game with what is being described as right elbow soreness. A good fastball in there for a strike to Beltre. Rangers need some base runners. Another broken bat roller, this one to Simmons. And Beltre retired for the first out of the 8th inning.
Bat manufacturers are loving this game.
My goodness.
Seeing their stock rise some at least 10% tonight.
Bad night for Wood. Well, Prince Fielder 0 for 3 ground outs. All over to the right side of the infield. He's struck the ball hard, but still waiting for him to get going, get some lift, and Jeff Bannister continues to answer questions daily about Fielder. You need to keep him in there to get him going. There's another bouncer over to the right side, but this one is whiffed by Choi and then flipped aside by Giovitella. Fielder is on. So an error, first of the night against the Angels, and that may open up a little opportunity. Choi just couldn't handle what appeared to be a routine grounder.
Yeah, Choi tried to hustle too much to get that thing, and you got to remember who's running. Choi had plenty of time to stop and play a decent hop, and then still get to Ramirez covering the bag. That's not a slight on Prince Fielder's speed, but it's not world class yet.
Not yet.
Maybe by next month down to Rio.
So he's on, and Ryan Rua takes strike one. Rua has had one of those forgettable nights at the plate. Hits this one high in the air, right center field, and Calhoun able to get there. They're two away. We'll bring up Moreland. So the Rangers running out of time in this one tonight. Out of their final 4 outs. Moreland, though, has had a good night at the plate. He's homered, singled, and popped out. Well, that's been one of the silver linings to this one tonight. Good night at the plate by Mitch. And a fastball by Ramirez, registering 98 on the in-house radar gun. Well-traveled Ramirez. This is his 3rd year in the big leagues. And he has already played for the Phillies, the Diamondbacks, the Mariners, Reds, and now the Angels. Pretty clear there's some stuff there.
Yeah.
Some great velocity, and part of the reason why all those teams have had interest. Well, there's some of that heat again. It's 3-0 to Moreland.
There's plenty of velocity there. It's a matter of being able to harness it consistently.
To wit, 38 walks, 68 strikeouts in less than 90 innings pitched in his career. One right down the middle, 3-1 to Moreland. But you never know. Certain pitching coach might find the right thing or get the right message to him, and he could be off to the races. A full count now as Moreland couldn't hold up. 3-2 the count.
Yeah, that's still one of the great unknowns in sports, is why 10 people can tell you exactly the same thing, almost verbatim, and yet one makes sense to a guy, and the other 9 don't. And that's true for everybody. It depends on how it's said to you and how it strikes you at that moment.
And Moreland fights off a good heater there. Count stays 3-2. Anybody in particular in your career who stands out? Coach or somebody it just felt like, I don't know, you connected with him in a way?
Yeah, the guy I played for in college, the late Rod Dato, was tremendous. I mean, the mental part of the game was what he really specialized in. He would take a bunch of 18-year-olds that we all were coming into college, and by the time he got through there, we felt that we could play baseball against anybody and had a good chance to win. And that was the big thing. Whether we did or not was something else, but that's what we thought.
Well, that one hit Moreland on the foot. He's on. Fielder over to second base. Oh, the reality is Dato, he put a lot of guys in the big leagues from USC.
Yep.
He's got him on the toe.
Sure, Mitch would have preferred just take a walk.
Yeah.
That would have hurt a lot less. Mitch dealing with that calf problem, and I wouldn't think that moving out of the way of a pitch like that's real good for your calf if you happen to have a calf strain that you're dealing with.
There's Nomar Mazara. And a little concern now as Bandy runs out there, and it's pretty clear. Stacey Ramirez, when he loses a little bit in terms of command, I mean, he can really get away from him.
Yeah, and Mike Socha's sitting over there realizing that the Rangers are one base runner away from bringing the tying run to the plate. This is not a ballpark you would say no lead is safe, but it can be with these two teams playing. They've scored a lot of runs against each other.
Well, my guess is Socha has seen a handful of these get away from his team this year. Mazara in a favorable 2-0 count here. He is doubled tonight. He's also hit by a pitch. And he takes a strike. Rangers have put together some pretty impressive late inning rallies. As a part of accumulating 55 wins to this point. Most in the American League, and a little tapper over to the right side. Handled by Choi. He'll go to the bag himself. Inning over. No runs, no hits, one error, and the Rangers lead 2. We go to the last of the 8th inning in Anaheim. The Angels lead the Rangers 9-5.
One around, but first things first, it's the bottom of the 8th inning, and we remind you that tomorrow night's game is right here at the Big A as well. And Elvis Andrus expected to be back in the lineup after an off day, a rest day, if you will, today. He is very good against the Angels, very good in this park. It's Andrus against Pujols and the rest of the Angels. AT&T high-speed internet is who reminds us to remind you that tomorrow's coverage begins at 8:30 with Rangers Live. The game immediately following from here in Southern California. Guys, back up to you.
Yeah, thanks, John. Bottom of the 8th inning here, Alex Claudio on to pitch. 4th pitcher of the night for the Rangers as they trail by 4.
Now, Alex, up and down 4 separate times this year, appearing now in his 17th ball game. Last time we saw Alex was Saturday in the friendly confines at Wrigley Field. Worked a third of an inning against the Cubs in that ball game.
He'll sling one right in there for a strike to Johnny Giavotella. Giavottella's grounded into a double play tonight, 1 for 3 overall. Good breaking ball. Takes the count to 0-2.
Claudio's worked 2 other times this year against the Angels, giving up a run in 2 innings of work.
He's 0-2, and he got Giovitella to chase, and that's a strikeout to start the bottom of the 8th inning. Good start for Claudio.
That changeup, it looks like it is slow and then downshifts and becomes even slower before it gets to home plate. That's got to be frustrating for a hitter to see that thing coming. And you know, I got this one timed, swinging, and hadn't even hit the dirt yet.
There's Choi. And he'll tap one back toward the mound. Claudio off, takes care of it, and he throws harder to first than he does to the plate. Wow. It gets Choi 2 away. That's easily his best fastball.
Number 47, Jeff Vandy.
Did a pretty good job. He shuffled his feet, got a good base to him, and a good hard throw to Mitch.
Nicely done. So 2 gone, bases empty. Big Jet Bandy hit by a pitch, scored a run. Done a nice job behind the plate as well tonight. Pops this one toward the seats. Bobby Wilson gave it a good look, but not playable.
That was right over there to John Radigan. I think he made the play on it. He did. He got a catch and release too. That was good. Nice going, John.
Got to make sure you get it to a Ranger fan too,
There you
right?
go.
Good Ranger fan sitting in the front row. There
Nice
you go,
job.
my man. Good job. Man, a lot of Angel fans, man. What are you gonna do?
1-1 to Bandy. I'm just glad you're okay down there, John. I see those balls coming your way, and I'm always a little concerned. Foul ball makes it 1-2. I'd like to see John make a play on a ball like that, though. A little pop up.
He did. He played it properly.
But turning away.
No, he waited till it stopped rolling and picked it up. And then gave it to a Ranger
if it
fan.
hits me in the head, that's the best spot.
1-2 pitch. Too far inside. Bandy looked like he was halfway between trying to sell that as a ball that maybe hit him. But he stays there 2-2. Rangers will need some base runners when we get to the 9th. Bobby Wilson's spot is due to start the 9th inning. Trailing by 4. 2-2. Bandy rips it into left center. Base hit for the Angels catcher. And that will get Simmons to the plate.
Fastball staying down, but it was right in the middle of the plate. That spot where Bandy could get the head of the bat to it.
Well, don't blink. Simmons up there. I believe he has swung at the first pitch in all 3 at bats so far tonight.
Yes.
Claudio gets him to watch one for a strike. Simmons has really turned it around offensively. It's a guy who is a great defensive shortstop, but he's never been a real threat at the plate. Lately, he's turned things around a little bit. 1-1 the count. He's hitting .370 over his last 20 games. His average has jumped 58 points during that stretch.
Yeah, he had that 1 year in Atlanta in 2013. He had 17 home runs, and that's almost as many as he hit the rest of his career.
Well, he has another hit tonight, his 3rd of the evening. That one slipped through into left. And there are 2 Angels on in the bottom of the 8th.
Yeah, the Rangers this year really haven't been able to find a consistent way to get Simmons out, whether he's taking the ball the other way or pulling it as he did there. He has had good success against the Texas pitching this year. Came in hitting at an even 300 and 3 more hits tonight.
So now Yunel Escobar, and he takes strike 1. Escobar 0 for 3 with a walk. He's a dangerous right-handed hitter. Oh, nice job lately, but in a hole here, 0-2.
He came into the game 3rd in the American League batting. 322. It's now down to 319, but he is having a heck of a year.
Well, and he's been particularly tough for the Rangers this year. 371 average against him, though. Tonight, collared so far, and he takes one just a little low. 1-2 the count. He sort of led the charge in the last decade among the Cuban nationals who have been such exciting players. You think of Yasiel Puig and Cespedes. There's so many great, very talented players who have come along and stolen the spotlight from Escobar. But you go back to the 2007 season, there's nobody with more hits. There's no Cuban national with more hits, over 1,300 of them for Escobar. And he has always been a terrific hitter. Stays alive here, 2-2. And this year he's been serviceable at third base, so to hear it, apparently the throws have been a bit of an issue for him.
Yeah.
And one of those guys, they'd love to put his name on the lineup card, because he can generate some offense. You look at this Angels lineup in general and think that really they should be able to do some pretty decent damage. They have tonight. Well, Escobar swings and misses. Second strikeout of Escobar tonight. Ends a scoreless 8. Last chance for the Rangers coming up. Forward to it as we get going in the 9th inning. You see Choi loosening up, so apparently he will hit in this 9th inning. He will be looking at a new Angels pitcher in Cam Bedrosian.
Yeah, Bedrosian, often used by the Angels this year, his 38th appearance. He's done a very good job. That ERA just above 1 in the league, hitting only .217 against the right-hander. So the Rangers need to get 3 base runners to bring the tying run to home plate, and Shin-Soo Choo will get a chance to lead things off for the Rangers.
And Gregorio Petit takes over at second base this inning as well. So a couple of changes for the Angels, and Choo to start things off hitting for Bobby Wilson. It's good to see Shin-Soo at the plate. Swings at the first pitch. That fly ball out there to Cunningham in left field. 1 away. So it was a short pinch hitting appearance for Choo. Now to the top of the order. And now JURICKSON, Profar. Look at those pitch counts per at bat. Unbelievable.
Yeah, 29 of them for four at bats. That's pretty good. It's giving the guys behind you an opportunity too. Not only does it help you, but it helps the guys that are following in the order.
Take strike 1. Has a couple of walks to show for it tonight. It's also looked good out of the field at shortstop this evening. 1 strike pitch. Breaking ball, strike 2. That's a tough one. I don't know many guys that are going to get a real good look at that pitch.
Now, you won't find many hitters that are real pleased to have that called strike on them.
Bedrosian's 0-2. That one a little low. So Cam Bedrosian is the 5th pitcher tonight for the Angels. Their starter left with right elbow soreness. Nick Tropiano threw 2 innings, gave up 3 home runs. And this one lined to third, right to Escobar, 2 away.
Now Escobar, according to the second base umpire who made the call on that play, Mike Malinsky out there threw his right fist up, said that Escobar dropped the ball on the exchange to his bare hand so that it was a catch on the line drive.
I like the fact though that he stayed with it anyway and completed the play in case it could have gone the other way.
He didn't become an umpire, you mean?
Yeah. One assumes things sometimes.
Yeah.
And, you know. Here's Ian Desmond. And hitless tonight in 4 tries. And he is the Rangers' last hope. Bedrosian, some good heat right there. This is low. 1-1 the count. Well, the offense came early for the Rangers, but they didn't have enough. 1-2 now on Desmond. Rangers down to their final strike. Fans here up to their feet. And Desmond keeps things going. Count stays 1-2. Bedrosian, of course, the son of Steve Bedrosian, Bedrock, pitched 14 years in the big leagues. Former Cy Young Award winner. Now Sage Spot just trying to finish this thing off for the Angels to continue their real good start to the second half. A little tapper to second. Petit goes to first. And the Angels come back to win it tonight, 9-5, the final score. And that's a disappointing one tonight. A.J. Griffin ran out of gas, lost his command just a touch, and the bullpen just couldn't hold on to the early Rangers lead. 9-5 our final score. We'll be back with more in just a moment.
All right, kid.